Welcome back, retro gamers and nostalgic nerds. Today we are diving deep into the pixelated past with a countdown of my all-time favorite DOS games. These classics shaped the gaming world as we know it, and they're sure to bring back memories of simpler times. If you're like me and you grew up in the era when floppy disks ruled and VG graphics were the height of technology, in this video I'll be sharing my top 9 games that not only defined my childhood but also left a lasting impact on the gaming industry. Wolfenstein 3D is the game that got me into first-person shooters in the first place. You play as BJ Blazkowicz, an American hero who was captured by the Nazis, and you need to try to escape Castle Wolfenstein. No, Wolfenstein 3D's graphics at the time came out as the best graphics. I first played this game back in the old shareware days. For those of you who have no idea what shareware is, or was, I will leave a link to my video on shareware in the description. I would play this game for hours and hours trying to find every hidden secret, weapon, and gold, and food, while avoiding the guards and the attack dogs. And one of the best parts, I think, in this game is the way the levels of difficulty were labeled. Take a look. And I know most of you will think that Doom was the first-person shooter game that started all. Well, back before Doom, there was Wolfenstein 3D. No, yes, I could have said the first Doom game, but Final Doom is a collection of all 3 Doom games and some extras. I loved all the games. I played all of them over the years. I prefer the ones that came out for the PC rather than the ones that were consoles. One of the reasons I love this game is the weapons. You go from a pistol to the infamous BFG 9000. Now you can figure out what BFG stands for. And by far, Doom still stands the test of time, even though some people claim that Doom was the first-person shooter genre that started it all. I still say Wolfenstein 3D is. And both Doom and Wolfenstein 3D have the best replayability, because to me, it is a challenge to try to find all the secrets on each level. From the music, to the graphics, to the gameplay, this is all what makes Doom by far one of the best DOS games I've ever played. Duke Nukem 3D was actually the first Duke Nukem game I have ever played, and yes, by the time this one came out, the original Duke Nukem games have all been out, but this by far is the best of all of them. From the gameplay and the weapons to Duke's one-liners, this all makes this game truly a masterpiece in my mind. Duke Nukem gave us one of the best, well, in my mind, lines in a video game of all time. I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of gum. Right from the start, you're thrown into the action. There's no waiting. I still love some of the newer first-person shooter games that have come out over the years. One thing I don't like, though, is looking for the action at the start of the game, where Duke Nukem 3D puts you right into the heart of the action at the start of the game, and that keeps me going. Plus, the developer put a ton of expansions out for the game as well to keep you wanting to play more, and even more sequels. However, there's one sequel to the game, to me, that is kind of the worst of them all, and that is Duke Nukem Forever. Other than that, Duke Nukem 3D holds my number 3 spot. Yeah, I know, another first-person shooter, but this one is just as good as the first 3 on the list. And Quake is also the game I played a lot back in college. The weapons in this game are just nuts, as one of the first 3 spots. Who would ever thought that a nailgun would make a great weapon in the first place? And the multiplayer option is what made this game so great. Back in my college days, a bunch of us would log on to the college's network, Little Quake, and battle each other out to see who was the best at the game, and yet, for some reason, I always would win. It was like playing a modern version of the old N64 game, GoldenEye. Snood was a freeware game that I played non-stop. For those of you who have no idea what that is, if you played or are still playing the game Bubble Witch on your phones, basically you're playing a version of Snood. Basically, like Bubble Witch, all you do is shoot colored balls at other colored balls and try to remove them by matching colors. Simple as it gets. Its simplicity is what makes this game so fun and addicting. Who would think that the simplest of game cats thus makes an incredibly addicting game? Now, Lemmings is another addictive game. Who would think that a game that came out of the whole idea of a developer drawing a simple, strange character would turn out to be a massive hit back in the day? A few reasons why I love Lemmings. One is even though the levels look easy, they are most certainly not. This game is an awesome puzzle game that keeps you wanting to play more. The basics of the game is you have to lead a group of lemmings from one end of the screen to the other. by giving certain Lemmings jobs to keep the rest on track or just offing themselves. The other is the music and graphics are simple but still keep you wanting to play. And I also love how the difficulty of each board keeps getting harder and harder to keep you to a point where you almost want to give up and rethink again. Which brings me to the last reason of the game, and that is if you want to just give up or take a break and rethink the level, and you can choose the self-destruct option and watch the Lemmings still wandering around just explode all over the place. And if you're wanting more Lemmings, there are also some expansions and sequels to the game that add more levels and difficulties to the game as well. One of my favorite old-school developers is a company known as Sierra. So one of the games I've loved by them is a game called Heroes Quest, also known as So You Want to Be a Hero. In Heroes Quest, you play a hero who winds up in a town looking for a town to save, and you have to stop Baba Yaga to save the land and become a hero. Heroes Quest has a lot of humor in it, and that's what makes it one of my favorites. There are so many ways to die, each with their own game over screen. One of my favorites can be done at the start of the game. You go into the bar and you order the Dragon's Breath, and then you down it, and you get one of my favorite ways to die in the game. Where in the World in Carmen, San Diego is one of my favorite edutainment games, and one that I still have yet to beat. If you've seen my history of the game, which I will leave a link to in the description, you know why this game has been in our heads over the years. Now, most 90s kids remember the old PBS game show with a theme song sung by Rockapella, but I remember playing the game also at schools, but I've played the other two spin-off games, Where in Time is Carmen, San Diego, and Where in Space is Carmen, San Diego. One you have to chase Carmen through time, and the other you chase through space. Plus, at one time there was a mobile app for the game. Not sure if that still exists. Now, the King's Quest franchise, or King's Quest series as they're often called, I could break down into several entries. But I decided to put in one entry instead. I first played these games in the old DOS CGA era of PC gaming with King's Quest 2 and continued to play them as they evolved over the years. These games involve both humor and adventure in the game. They're also some of my first introductions into RPG games. I have had the old Xbox 360 versions of the game as well. Basically, you play as Graham in the first game who has to become king, but as the King's Quest sequels have different tasks, such as you have to find Graham a queen to rescuing your family from an evil wizard. Except for King's Quest 6. Here you play the queen who has to travel to different lands to find and rescue your daughter, the princess. So thanks for joining me on this nostalgic journey through some of the best DOS games I've ever played. I hope you enjoyed revisiting these classics with me as much as I did. If you liked this video, don't forget to give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more retro gaming content. And if you like, let me know what your favorite DOS games were. Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and maybe even feature some in a future video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Happy gaming!